If there's a difficult conversation that you need to have, I'm afraid, I'm scared, I'm worried, then you're being a loser. You're not being the man that you can be. Now, there's a right and wrong way to do it. You can have those conversations with kindness, to go back to point number 3. You can have those conversations with discernment, to go back to point number 4. But if you can't have a real conversation with your wife about the way that she's showing up, or with your employee about the way that they're performing or underperforming, then what kind of man are you? Man, we all know that guy who is strong, who is capable, who is successful, who is bold, who is courageous, who has the life, who has the income, who has the wealth, who has the connections, who has all of the things that you and I want as men. And most of us chalk that up to the X factor. That guy has it. That guy has the X factor. You can feel it when the guy walks in the room. There's a palpable difference in the way that the people around him communicate, how they respond, how they react, how they behave. And while most of us spend our times spinning our wheels about how that man has this unattainable X factor, it really is a very simple formula that too many men, in my summation, in my analyzing this over a decade of doing this work, have overlooked. And the X factor, which is this mystical force that so many men just have innately, and that so many men can't obtain through their efforts, it's not that at all. It's a very simple formula. It's a formula that you can incorporate in your life to be more influential, to be more bold, to be more courageous, to have more of what you want, to inspire others, to achieve your dreams and your desires and your outcomes. And there's really just about 5 things, 5 mindsets that you need to incorporate in your life to have the type of life that you want, the relationship that you desire, the wealth that you're seeking, the career aspirations that you're pursuing, and the kind of life that you wish you would have that you thought might be reserved for other individuals. I mean, how many of you have just sat on the sidelines of life and watched other men who you perceive as lesser than you have the women, have the money, have the career, have the fulfillment, have the joy, have the satisfaction, have the thrill and the excitement of life? If you really believe they're inferior, why is it that you are not achieving at least at a minimum what they are, let alone a whole lot more? Today, I'm going to share with you 5 rules that I believe, if we strip everything else away, that every man must follow if he hopes to achieve some level of this X factor that we believe exists on this unobtainable spiritual plane that is just granted and bestowed to the few lucky ones who roam the earth. It's not that at all. Let's talk about the formula. Number 1, be strong. All right, that's first and foremost. You have to be strong. Strong men are better men. And heaven forbid, dare I say, that those men who are strong are better men. That's the reality. And I'm not talking about worth as individuals. I'm talking about your worth as a husband, your worth as a father, your worth as a business owner, your worth in the community, your worth as a politician, your worth as fill in the blank with whatever capacity that you're showing up in. If you're strong, you're better. Now, I'm not just talking about physical strength, because I know plenty of men who might be physically strong who don't have the morality that is attached to it. You know, Andrew Tate is somebody who comes to mind. You know, that's an individual who obviously has some skill set, obviously is very fit. He looks great, but he lacks any sort of moral strength and courage. He just goes to and fro as the doctrine of popular culture dictates, and he says outlandish things to get people riled up, but he's not a strong individual in the trifecta of mental, emotional, and the physical realm. You take somebody like Nick Fuentes, who is just a physical weakling, an absolute weakling. And, maybe he's got some intelligence. I won't deny that. But he certainly isn't the trifecta of what it means to be a man. And the trifecta is physical, mental, and emotional. Nick Fuentes is highly emotionally dysregulated, but he's not physically strong. He's not mentally strong. He has one aspect down really, really well. And the guys like Nick Fuentes and the guys like Andrew Tate work really well in the realm of social media. But in life, these aren't individuals that we strive to be. These aren't the kind of fathers that we want to be. These aren't the kind of husbands that we want to be. These aren't the kind of leaders in our communities that we want to be. And it requires the trifecta. You need to go to work physically on yourself every single day, feeling your body correctly, going to work out, getting strong, getting fit, getting lean, getting jacked. You need to regulate your emotions. We'll talk about that here in the next step. And mentally, you need to be developing your mind, learning new things, considering alternative perspectives, debating thoughtfully, asking powerful questions, going to courses, going to conferences, listening to podcasts that might serve you based on what your objectives are. There's a trifecta here. Being physically strong is not enough. You're the jock. You might be physically strong. You might be good to look at by all the ladies. All the ladies might want to be with you. All the guys might want to be like you. But at the end of the day, you're a mental midget. Emotionally, you might be a beacon of stability for your family, but you couldn't fight your way out of a wet paper bag. Nobody's interested in that. Mentally, you might be a juggernaut. You might have the highest IQ ever recorded in history. And if you're a weenie and you're a coward and you're a weakling, nobody cares about all of that education and all of that knowledge if you can't lead them to a better place. Guys, we as men need to be strong in the trifecta of masculinity: physical, mental, and emotional. Number 2, I'm going to dive deeper into the emotional realm because you, as a rule, need to be emotionally stable. I think that oftentimes we might look at and we're perceived as being physically dominant, physically aggressive. I've talked with so many women who believe that men are scary, daughters who believe that their fathers are scary, wives who believe that their husbands are scary. And although we are physically bigger in general than our female counterparts, I don't think it's the physicality so much that scares women as much as it is the uncertainty of what they might be confronting. If your wife is concerned or questions which version of you she gets when you get home at the end of the day, that's not a stable emotional environment. If your wife has to condition or program your kids to give quote unquote daddy some space when he gets home because she doesn't know how you'll show up, that's not an environment conducive to the type of man that I believe you want to become. And I use these examples because I've been this man in my life. I've been the guy who shows up in a very lackluster way, to put it minimally. I've showed up in a way that's emotionally volatile. I've showed up in a way that my people, whether it's my wife, my ex-wife at this point, or my kids, or my friends and my clients, they don't know what version of me they're going to get. And my job is to be the bedrock emotionally. My job is to create emotional regulation. When she is freaking out and stressed out and frustrated, it's my job to be calm, cool, and collected. When my kids are frustrated about how work is going, how school is going, and how life is, and breakups as young kids, it's my job to be the stability, the beacon of strength. And if I'm so emotionally dysregulated that I fly off the handle at any little thing, or I get frustrated about the simplest of setbacks, or any little variable in my schedule completely throws me off and I lose my crap, like that's not the kind of man that I have a desire to be. You got to create margin and space in your life. You have to be the bedrock. And so when your wife comes to you and says she's having a hard day, you don't need to lose your cool and tell her all the things that she's doing wrong. Just listen for a second. Just shut up and listen. If she's dealing with something difficult within the family dynamic, just be quiet and listen. If your kids are struggling with work, or with school, or their grades, or with a bully, or with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, just be quiet and listen. If you're confronting some financial challenge at work, you don't need to blab about that everywhere and dump it all on your wife or your kids. Just be quiet and get to work. Talk with that about with your friends, but you don't need to dump that on your family. They're relying on you to be emotionally secure. And even if you do happen to share it with your significant other, which I think that's warranted in times and under the right circumstances, you don't need to cry on her shoulder. You don't need to wallow in your own self-pity. Tell her what's going on and then tell her what your solution is. Be emotionally stable. Number 3, be kind. Just be a decent human being. Hold a door for people. Open the door for her when you go on a date. Say please and thank you. Offer a smile to someone. When somebody may be frustrated, maybe somebody cuts you off on the road, you don't need to drive by them and flip them off, which is certainly something I've done. Just be gracious and be kind. Now, I don't want you to confuse kindness with weakness. I don't want you to conflate kindness with being nice. I think being nice is letting people walk all over you, letting people get the better of you, tamping out your own desires and dreams and ambitions because somebody else might be more vocal than you. That's the nice guy. We don't want to be the nice guy. We want to be kind. And a kind man is a capable man, by the way. A kind man is somebody who has the capacity to be rough and to be strong and to be capable and even to be violent, but chooses not to. Jordan Peterson often talks about sheathing your sword. A kind man is a man who does have a sword, but keeps it sheathed in the right environments. He knows when to pull it out and he knows when not to. And I don't need to give everybody a response. I don't need to come back with any sort of clever quip to everybody. I can be gracious. I can be kind. I can be generous. I can be supportive. This is the kind of man that I have a desire to be, not because I'm weak, but because I'm strong and I want to serve other people. I want to help other people. We as men are protectors, providers, and presiders, and so we have an obligation to step into those roles. And in order to do that, we need to be willing to sacrifice. And sacrifice is synonymous with kindness. You do have to sacrifice to hold the door open for somebody. It's a minor sacrifice, but a sacrifice nonetheless. You do have to sacrifice to donate to a charity that you believe in. It might be minor, it might be major, but it's a sacrifice nonetheless. What sacrifices are you willing to make as a man in order to ensure that you're being kind to the people around you? Number 4, be discerning. Okay, not everyone deserves all of you. Not everyone deserves all of you. We have this crazy, crazy environment where we're inundated with social media, we're inundated with texts and emails and phone calls and people knocking on our door and telemarketers, and everybody wants your time and attention, including me, by the way, if I'm being honest. I want your time and attention, your eyeballs. You need to be discerning of how you spend your time. If you say yes to everything because you're being a quote unquote nice guy, to go back to our previous point, then you're never going to have time for the things that matter. And the only things that really matter are your God, your own self-development, and your people. And everything else can go by the wayside. Again, your God, your self-development, and your people. That's it. If I can help you on your self-development journey, that's the value that I can add. I don't matter any more in your life than that. Does Ryan provide value to me in that I become a better man? If not, unsubscribe, unfollow, check out, and find somebody else who does. Because the only 3 things that should matter to you, and this is about being discerning, is your God, your self-development, and your people. period. If somebody's asking you for something outside of those three, the trifecta of discernment, don't do it. Don't do it. Now, some people might say, well, I want to help people. Okay, then those are your people, right? So if I have a friend who calls me up and says, hey, Rye, this weekend I'm moving from here to here, and I know you have a truck. Can you help me out? Those are my people. I'm going to serve them. But if a stranger reaches out and he says, hey, will you do this thing? But he hasn't earned the right to ask for that thing, I'm not going to do it. I can be discerning. I can still be a kind person. I can still be an empathetic person. I can still be a strong person. But I don't need to help everybody. And I also don't need to offer all of myself to everyone. There's this weird phenomenon going on right now, and it's the Brené Brown symptoms that we're experiencing, where it's like, just be vulnerable. Vulnerability is the best thing. No, it's not. You need to be discerning in that. Okay, like, I'm so excited for the day when we stop talking about vulnerability, because we all realize the bullshit marketing that it's become. Is being honest with your wife vulnerability? No, I hope not, because there's no risk of anything happening there, because she believes in you. She trusts you. She cares about you. She wants to hear about what's going on. Does that represent vulnerability? No. Just means you're being honest and humble with her, and she should do the same. Does being honest with your clients about what you know and what you don't know equate to vulnerability? No. It just means you're humble about what you can do well and what you can't. This Brené Brown bullshit that society has just adopted as a standard is nonsensical. You need to be discerning. Not everybody deserves all of you. You can lie. You can omit. You can not share everything. You can keep yourself guarded. You can be aware of the threats. You can be aware of how people might use your words and your ideas and your behavior against you. I mean, there's a prime example is in the case of divorce. You know, some of you guys are going through divorce. I went through a divorce about 3 years ago, and I'm not going to disclose everything because I'm not stupid. But the whole vulnerability movement would have you just disclose everything at the expense of yourself and your own well-being, and potentially even the people that you deserve. Be discerning. Some people deserve more of you. Some people deserve more of your time. Some people deserve more of your attention. And you know what? Some people don't. Some people don't. Strangers on the internet don't. People who would wish you harm don't. People who won't reciprocate don't. And your time would be much better spent on your wife, on your kids, on your clients, on your coworkers, on your boss, on the people who love and care about you. They support you, they advocate for you, and they want you to win. And anybody who doesn't fall into one of those categories can just go away because you owe them nothing. All right, number 5. Be courageous. This one is just crucial, guys. Go ask the woman on the date, please. You've got a woman that you're interested in and that you like. Just go ask her for her number. Go ask her to spend time with you this Friday. Go ask for a date. If you want to start a business, do the first thing. Just start a business. All right, I don't have all of it worked out. You don't need to have it all worked out. Just start the business. Start it. Just buy the business license. Register with the state. Buy the domain name. Just start. If you already have a business and you've never made a sale, ask for a sale, please. That person that you're talking to who really values what you do and wants to be able to be involved in whatever offering that you have, tell them. It's $100. It's $500. It's $1,000. It's worth it. You should do it. Buy it from me. Be courageous. If there's a new hobby or interest or activity, maybe you've always wanted to go skydiving. Go skydiving this weekend. For just about everybody listening to this podcast, you can call a company that does skydiving courses and say, hey, I want to go this weekend, and they'd fit you in at 2:00 on Sunday afternoon. Go do it. Please, go do it. If there's a difficult conversation that you need to have with somebody about, maybe you're an employer and you have an employee who's not doing a great job, and you need to have a deep conversation. Maybe you want them to win and you just want to have a conversation with them about their underperformance and what they can do to be better. Go have the damn conversation, please. What are you waiting for? I'm afraid, I'm scared, I'm worried. Then you're being a loser. You're not being the man that you can be. And I know this might sound harsh, but the reality is that you are not stepping up as a man. You're being a coward. Now, there's a right and wrong way to do it. You can have those conversations with kindness, to go back to point number 3. You can have those conversations with discernment, to go back to point number 4. But if you can't have a real conversation with your wife about the way that she's showing up, or with your employee about the way that they're performing or underperforming, or with your kids about what they're doing or not doing, then what kind of man are you? Truly, what kind of man are you? And this might sound like a chastising thing, and maybe it is a little bit, but you know what? I've been here, and I know it's scary, and I know it's hard and uncomfortable, but the real conversations that we're able to have really, truly define who we are as men. I believe that the best men out there, and I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds, I think, 600-700 at this point, of very, very successful men. And I can tell you, every single one of them exhibits each one of these traits. They're strong mentally, physically, and emotionally. They're emotionally stable. They create safe environments for their people. They're kind when maybe they don't have to be. Take somebody like Jocko Willing, kind, decent person. But man, he would really, really put you in a world of hurt if needed. Jack Carr, another individual, highly, highly underrated as a straight up assassin. He could do things to you that would only exist in your nightmares. And yet he's the most kind, gentle soul that I might actually know. He's kind. Be discerning. Not everyone deserves all of you. And last is be courageous, be bold, put yourself out there, ask for what you want, give people feedback. Tactfully, of course. I'm not saying be the jerk, but tactfully do that. And I promise you, if you do these 5 things every day, if you just write these down, maybe here's my challenge to you. Write these 5 things down in your journal or in your to-do list or your task list or whatever you look at in the morning. And you should be looking at something every morning to plan out your day. And write these 5 things down. Be strong, be emotionally stable, be kind, be discerning, be courageous. Write those 5 things down. If you do those 5 things in everything that you do, maybe you send an email. Okay, I'm going to be strong. I'm not going to let this person get to me emotionally. I'm going to be courageous and ask for things. If you incorporate that into the emails that you send today, you're going to be better off. If you get home and your wife is like, well, what do you want to do? What should we do? Be discerning, be courageous, ask for what you want, but be kind. I promise you the relationship with her is going to get better. If you have a client who's waffling on your suggestions, who's maybe wondering if they should or should not take your recommendations, who's maybe seeing another person who does something similar to what you do, be bold, be courageous. Again, be kind, be emotionally stable, but be courageous. See, guys, we can incorporate this every day into our life. And if we say strong, emotional, kind, discerning, and courageous, man, the world would be better for you. The world would literally lay down for you, as it has for me. Now, I'm not here to say that everything in my life goes perfectly, but I'll tell you, when I deviate from these rules, being strong, emotionally stable, kind, discerning, and courageous, my life deviates. It goes off the course. But when I get back on the course, these are the things that help me get back on the course. I hope that helps you. I've got so many more ideas, and not all of them are mine, to go back to being discerning. Some of them are other people's ideas that I work with inside of our brotherhood, the Iron Council. Everybody has a program. Everybody has a course. Everybody has an email list. Everybody has an event. Everybody has an experience. Everybody has affiliate relationships. But I'm telling you, we started this thing 10 years ago in 2015, and everybody else modeled when it comes to the men's space modeled what they're doing after what we do. And the problem with that for those individuals is they're behind the curve. We've had 10 years of research. We've had 10 years of experience. We've had 10 years of doing it right and doing it wrong. And because we have 10 years and everybody else is chasing, we know what it takes to be successful as a man. We have the tools, the systems, and the resources available to you. So if you want to join and you want to band with us, the original Brotherhood of Men, then check it out at orderofman.com/Iron Council. That's orderofman.com/Iron Council. Whether you join or not, I want you to incorporate these 5 things in your life. Be strong, emotionally stable, kind, discerning, and courageous. It will change your life if you do it consistently. All right, guys, we'll be back next week for our interview. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.